Yo, I'm very conservative, and unlike most people, I care about truth more than I care about appearing right all the time. So I have examined the claim that climate change, sometimes referred to as global warming, is a serious threat, though this viewpoint is dominated by liberals. Consider Charles Mann's video, How to Win Any Debate on Climate Change. It got attacked for allegedly being mere propaganda and got more thumbs down than thumbs up despite some positive feedback. Here are some excerpts. Here's how the physics of climate change works. Our sun bathes Earth with every imaginable kind of light and radiation, ultraviolet, microwaves, you name it. About a third of that bounces off either clouds, dust in the air, or Earth's surface. A little bit is absorbed. Notably, the ozone layer absorbs the ultraviolet. The remaining two-thirds land on the groundwater and vegetation. Now all these different kinds of light come here, heating up the soil, oceans, and greenery. They emit infrared light, this one kind of light. And so different kinds of light come in. Infrared goes out. Here's a fact discovered in the 1870s. Nitrogen and oxygen make up about 99% of the atmosphere. They cannot absorb infrared light. So if the atmosphere was entirely made of nitrogen and oxygen, all this infrared light would pass right through it and we'd be in a snowball frozen. But water vapor can take it in. That's good because the water vapor absorbs most of the infrared light, then passes it to the nitrogen and oxygen, and we have our present warm Earth. That's how the atmosphere works. Now, if water vapor doesn't absorb all the infrared, it lets just a few frequencies or wavelengths through. That's good because just enough energy escapes to prevent Earth from getting unbearably hot. Water molecules say to this particular frequency, "No, I won't absorb you." So the system works great. The water vapor absorbs a proper balance of it, keeping a Goldilocks temperature. But the bad guy, carbon dioxide, comes in. Unfortunately, it absorbs just those frequencies that water vapor would otherwise let through. So now, with lots of carbon dioxide, almost all the infrared is being absorbed in the atmosphere. And it gets hotter. It infuriates scientists when people say it's a hoax because this is really basic chemistry and physics. My diagram, redrawn from a 1920s spectroscopy textbook, shows the same thing. This is not new. Imagine the atmosphere as a bathtub. The water pouring in is the infrared light. You're sitting there all cozy with little holes in the bathtub to let the water out and balanced between the incoming and outgoing water. Now take some bubble gum, plug up just one or two little holes, that's all you need. And very slowly the water will begin to rise and things will go to hell. That's climate change. They always say there's a 97% consensus. Actually, there's a 100% consensus on basic chemistry and physics. The only question is exactly how fast that water will rise. Now for viewer objections intertwined with my responses. Brian said, there are thousands of variables. KCS, but none of the variables or complications would change the final outcome. Sigmund Q. Freud said, everyone run from the 0.004% parts per million carbonzilla. He's being sarcastic. Look at all the climate alarmists buying islands and beachfront property telling us sea levels will rise, LOL. KCS. It needn't act quickly like Godzilla to destroy civilization. It can work slowly over 100+ years and have the same end result. And where's the documentation that climate change scholars are buying up islands and beachfront property? Hearsay. Mike C. J. Dan 76 in AppuMaster said, how is it that life flourished with several thousand ppm of CO2 for a long time, yet we're worried about exceeding 400 parts per million? CO2 has been 3,000% higher in the past and Earth was fine. KCS. It's a blatant falsehood to say it was 3,000% higher. It was estimated to be only 50% to 250% higher. And there were periods when it was less than 180 ppm, that's parts per million. Levels have fluctuated over the eons. Also, astronomers have calculated that there was less solar irradiance in the past to act upon the CO2, thus higher levels would be less of a problem than they would be now. And the worry is not of exceeding 400 ppm, as we have already exceeded that. The worry is that they will far exceed the levels of the ancient past, since CO2 levels have increased at their fastest rate due to our industrial age. Jack Walton and Abumaster said, carbon dioxide has a higher molecular weight than our atmosphere or water vapor. Therefore, it's heavier and gravitates toward the ground to feed the plants. And we now know that a rise in CO2 is great for plant life. Any heating in the past led to prosperity for all life on Earth. KCS. There is far more than enough carbon dioxide to feed all plant life, and carbon dioxide cannot create new plants, just fuel existing plants. And there was far more plant life in the past when Earth was covered in forests. Now, with massive deforestation and over 8 billion people breathing out carbon dioxide and creating it as a byproduct of motorized vehicles, besides the carbon monoxide as well, there is far less demand for this CO2. Ash Smitty said, we think we have the answers to everything, but scientists cannot even predict the weather for next week. KCS, as far as being a know-it-all, speak for yourself. And scientists do predict next week's weather all the time, just not perfectly. Seaplane Guy said, gas is cool, they don't heat things up, idiots. KCS, common sense should tell you that not all gas is cool. Consider our sun a giant ball of gas. Part 2 is necessary to complete this subject.